Welcome back to the Street Smart Secrets channel, the place where we break down the money habits, wealth strategies, and financial mindsets that can completely change your future. If you want to learn how money really works, how wealthy people think, and how everyday people can build lasting financial freedom, then you're in the right place. Today's discussion is an important one because we're talking about the silent habits that quietly destroy wealth. Not overnight, but slowly over time. These are the financial behaviors that keep many hardworking people stuck living paycheck to paycheck, even when they earn more money. And in today's world of rising costs, social media pressure, easy debt, and non-stop consumer culture, these habits have become more common than ever. Wealth rarely disappears overnight. For most people, it fades gradually through small financial habits that seem harmless in the moment. That's what makes wealth destruction so dangerous. It's usually quiet, unnoticed, and deeply repetitive. While people often prepare for major financial setbacks like losing a job or a bad investment, the real damage is often happening daily through behaviors that slowly drain income, savings, and opportunities to build long-term wealth. The truth is, financial success is less about complicated math and more about daily behavior. Small habits compound over time, and not always in a good way. Just like investing can quietly grow wealth, bad financial habits can quietly destroy it. A few unnecessary subscriptions here, impulse purchases there, constant lifestyle upgrades, emotional spending, easy debt, and suddenly years go by with little to show for all the hard work. And in America today, these habits are easier than ever to develop. We live in a culture built around spending. Social media constantly pressures people to look rich instead of become wealthy. Rising living costs are stretching paychecks thinner. Buy now, pay later services make overspending feel harmless. Credit cards make debt feel invisible, and the subscription economy quietly drains bank accounts month after month. Experts consistently point to lifestyle inflation and behavioral mistakes as some of the biggest reasons many people struggle financially, even when their income increases. Because the biggest threat to wealth is not always low income. Sometimes it's the habits we repeat every single day without thinking. So in this video, we'll uncover the everyday behaviors that silently drain your finances, delay wealth building, and keep people financially stressed for years without realizing it. Because sometimes the biggest obstacle to becoming wealthy isn't your income, it's the habits you repeat every single day. 1. Depending on one source of income, the risky habit that leaves people financially vulnerable. One of the quietest habits that destroys wealth is relying entirely on one source of income. For decades, many people were taught that getting a stable job was the ultimate path to financial security. But today's economy has changed dramatically. Companies downsize, industries evolve, technology replaces jobs, and economic uncertainty can affect anyone unexpectedly. Yet millions of people still depend on a single paycheck as their entire financial survival plan. The dangerous part is that depending on one income source often feels safe until something goes wrong. Younger generations are entering a world where traditional career paths are less predictable than before. Artificial intelligence, automation, freelancing, remote work, digital businesses, and creator economies are rapidly changing how money is earned. In this environment, relying on only one paycheck can become extremely risky. Many young adults dream of financial freedom, yet they rely solely on jobs that barely cover monthly expenses. If that income stops suddenly, the entire financial system collapses. Rent becomes stressful, bills pile up, savings disappear quickly. This is why so many people experience financial anxiety even while employed. Deep down, they know their survival depends entirely on one source of money. Middle-income Americans experience this pressure heavily. Rising housing costs, healthcare expenses, inflation, childcare, and debt leave little financial breathing room. Losing one job can instantly create a financial emergency. This constant fear quietly affects mental health, relationships, sleep, and overall peace of mind. And emotionally, this creates a dangerous cycle of dependency. People begin tolerating toxic jobs, unhealthy work environments, and extreme stress simply because they cannot afford to lose their only income source. Some stay trapped in careers they hate for decades because financially they feel they have no other options. For retirees and older adults, depending on one income source can become even more frightening. Some rely entirely on pensions, retirement savings, or government benefits that may not fully cover rising living costs. Others discover too late that they never built additional income streams during their working years. Imagine reaching retirement and realizing your financial security depends on a single limited source of money while inflation continues increasing around you. That fear is becoming increasingly common. This is why many financially successful people focus heavily on building multiple streams of income. They understand that wealth is not just about earning money, it's about reducing financial vulnerability. Extra income streams create flexibility, stability, and options during difficult times. And today, opportunities for additional income have become more accessible than ever. Side hustles, online businesses, YouTube channels, freelancing, investing, digital products, real estate, content creation, skill-based services, even small additional income streams can create massive long-term financial relief. Psychologically, having multiple income sources also changes how people think. It reduces fear. It increases confidence. It creates freedom to make better life decisions without constant financial panic. The reality is simple. One stream of income may pay the bills, but multiple streams create security. And in today's unpredictable economy, financial stability no longer comes from depending on one paycheck alone. It comes from building systems that continue generating income even when life becomes uncertain. 2. Lifestyle inflation, the habit that makes more money feel like no money. This happens when your lifestyle keeps expanding every time your income increases. Instead of using extra income to build investments, savings, businesses, or financial security, many people immediately upgrade their spending habits. And the scary part is that it rarely feels irresponsible in the moment. In fact, it usually feels deserved. For Gen Z and Gen Alpha, lifestyle inflation often begins very early because of social media culture. Every day, young people are exposed to influencers showing luxury apartments, designer clothes, expensive vacations, luxury skincare routines, gaming setups, gadgets, and flashy lifestyles that look normal online. A 22-year-old gets their first decent paycheck and suddenly feels pressure to upgrade everything. The newest iPhone, expensive sneakers, eating out constantly, financing a car they can barely afford, or paying for multiple subscriptions they hardly use. Not necessarily because they need these things, but because modern culture quietly convinces people that success must be visible. The problem is that many young adults are trying to look financially successful before actually becoming financially secure. Someone earning $4,000 a month may spend almost all of it trying to maintain an image online, while another person earning the same amount quietly invests, saves, and builds assets. 10 years later, one person owns liabilities while the other owns freedom. And lifestyle inflation doesn't only affect young people. Middle-aged Americans often fall into the same trap in different ways. A promotion leads to a bigger house with higher mortgage payments. A salary increase leads to financing luxury vehicles. Families begin competing socially with neighbors, friends, or coworkers. Suddenly, more income simply creates more bills. Instead of feeling financially stable, many people feel even more stressed because their expenses rise as fast as their earnings. For retirees, lifestyle inflation can become devastating because many enter retirement carrying financial obligations they should have escaped years earlier. Some still have large debts, expensive lifestyles, or insufficient savings because they spent decades upgrading consumption instead of building long-term wealth. Imagine working for 40 years only to discover you cannot comfortably retire because your entire financial life was built around appearances and constant spending. That reality is becoming increasingly common. Psychologically, lifestyle inflation is powerful because humans adapt quickly. What once felt luxurious eventually feels normal. The new car excites you for a few months, then becomes ordinary. The expensive apartment becomes your basic standard. The designer purchases stop feeling special, but the monthly payments remain. This creates a dangerous cycle where people constantly chase bigger purchases to recreate temporary happiness. This is why so many hardworking people still live paycheck to paycheck despite earning good incomes. Their income grows, but their lifestyle grows even faster. Financial stress quietly replaces financial progress. And in today's economy, with inflation rising, housing costs increasing, and economic uncertainty everywhere, lifestyle inflation has become one of the biggest silent wealth killers in America. Because wealth is not built by how much money comes in. Wealth is built by how much money stays, grows, and works for you over time. 3. Emotional spending. buying things to feel better, not live better. One of the most common habits quietly destroying wealth today is emotional spending. This happens when people use money to cope with emotions instead of solving actual needs. And in today's world, emotional spending has become so normalized that many people don't even realize they're doing it anymore. Stressful day at work? Order expensive food delivery. Feeling lonely? Go shopping online. Feeling insecure? Buy new clothes, gadgets, or luxury items. Feeling bored? Scroll through shopping apps until something catches your attention. Modern consumer culture constantly encourages people to spend emotionally because businesses understand something very well. Emotional people spend faster than logical people. Young people are constantly exposed to content showing people living their best life, traveling, buying luxury products, upgrading aesthetics, or flexing expensive lifestyles online. Over time, this creates silent psychological pressure. People begin associating spending with happiness, status, healing, confidence, or self-worth. A young adult may feel behind in life after watching influencers their age, driving luxury cars, or living in expensive apartments. Suddenly, buying things becomes a way to temporarily escape insecurity. Someone struggling emotionally may spend hundreds on clothes, sneakers, beauty products, gaming equipment, or entertainment simply to feel better for a moment. But once the excitement fades, reality returns, along with the credit card bill, the debt, and the financial anxiety. And this habit affects older generations too. Many middle-income Americans spend emotionally because they are overwhelmed by financial pressure, work stress, or exhaustion from daily life. Parents reward themselves with unnecessary purchases after difficult weeks. Some retirees overspend trying to maintain comfort or avoid feelings of aging and isolation. Others spend to impress friends, family, or social circles because society often connects success with visible consumption. The dangerous part about emotional spending is that it rarely feels serious because the purchases often seem small individually. A little online shopping here, daily Starbucks there, constant food delivery, random Amazon purchases late at night, treating yourself every weekend. But over months and years, these emotional spending habits quietly drain thousands of dollars that could have gone toward investments, emergency savings, retirement, or building a side business. Psychologically, emotional spending creates temporary dopamine, a short-lived emotional high. But like many unhealthy coping habits, the relief disappears quickly. The financial consequences, however, remain. This creates a cycle where people feel stressed about money, then spend more money to cope with the stress, which creates even more financial pressure. This is why emotional spending keeps so many people trapped in paycheck-to-paycheck living. The issue is often not just low income, it's uncontrolled behavior. Financial freedom requires emotional discipline. Because no matter how much money someone earns, if emotions constantly control spending decisions, wealth becomes almost impossible to build. And in today's economy, where companies aggressively market convenience, luxury, and instant gratification, emotional spending has become one of the biggest silent attacks on financial stability. 4. Delaying investing. The expensive habit of waiting until later. Many people assume wealth building starts when they finally earn a high salary, become debt-free, or feel financially ready. So they keep waiting for more money, waiting for the perfect opportunity, waiting for the right time. But while they wait, years quietly pass by, and time is one of the most valuable assets in wealth creation. This habit is extremely common among Gen Z and young professionals today. Many young adults feel overwhelmed by rising rent, student loans, inflation, unstable job markets, and economic uncertainty. Because of this, investing often feels like something only wealthy people do. Some believe they need thousands of dollars before starting. Others are intimidated by stocks, retirement accounts, crypto losses, or financial jargon they don't fully understand. So instead of learning and starting small, they postpone it entirely. But the painful reality is that delaying investing can quietly cost people more money than bad investments themselves. A 22-year-old who invests small amounts consistently over time often ends up financially ahead of someone who starts investing heavily at 40. Why? Because wealth is heavily driven by time and compounding. Money needs time to grow. Unfortunately, modern culture trains people to consume first and invest later. People are encouraged to upgrade phones every year, finance luxury items, spend on trends, and chase experiences immediately. Meanwhile, investing sounds boring compared to instant gratification. Many people would rather spend $300 on entertainment this weekend than invest $300 that could grow for decades. Middle-income Americans often fall into another trap: survival mode. Many are so focused on monthly bills, debt payments, and short-term financial stress that investing feels impossible. Some say things like, "I'll invest once I earn more. I'll start after I pay off this debt. I still have time." But years later, they realize they missed valuable time that can never be recovered. For older adults nearing retirement, delaying investing becomes even more painful because they begin to see the consequences directly. Some realize they worked for decades without building enough assets to support retirement comfortably. Others become dependent on jobs longer than expected because they spent most of their lives consuming rather than investing. Imagine reaching your 60s and discovering you cannot retire peacefully because you kept postponing wealth building during your younger years. That fear is becoming increasingly common. Psychologically, delaying investing is often connected to fear: fear of losing money, fear of making mistakes, or fear of uncertainty. But avoiding investing completely is also a financial risk. Inflation quietly reduces purchasing power every year, meaning money sitting idle slowly loses value over time. This is why investing is not just about money, it's about freedom, security, and future stability. The biggest mistake is often not starting too small, it's starting too late. 5. Living on credit, the habit that makes people look rich while staying broke. This habit starts early. Credit cards, buy now, pay later services, financing apps, and easy online payment plans have made spending almost effortless. A person can buy expensive sneakers, gadgets, gaming systems, or luxury items instantly without feeling the full financial pain immediately. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" many people now ask, "Can I afford the monthly payment?" That mindset quietly traps people in cycles of debt before they even build real financial stability. Social media makes this even worse. Young people constantly see influencers showing luxury lifestyles, expensive cars, designer brands, and glamorous vacations. What viewers often don't see is the debt behind many of those lifestyles. So people begin financing appearances just to avoid feeling left behind socially. Someone earning an average income may still try to live like a celebrity online, not realizing they are sacrificing future financial freedom for temporary validation. For middle-income Americans, living on credit often becomes a survival habit as well as a lifestyle habit. Rising rent, healthcare costs, inflation, and stagnant wages push many families into relying on credit cards just to keep up. Emergencies happen, bills pile up, and suddenly, minimum payments become part of daily life. The problem is that interest quietly turns small debts into long-term financial burdens. People work harder every year, yet feel like they are making no progress because so much income goes toward paying yesterday's spending. And for older adults nearing retirement, excessive debt can become financially devastating. Some people reach retirement age still carrying mortgages, car loans, and credit card balances because they spent decades normalizing debt instead of building assets. Imagine working your entire life only to spend retirement worrying about bills and monthly payments instead of enjoying financial peace. That reality is becoming more common across America. Psychologically, debt creates a dangerous illusion of wealth. People feel richer because credit temporarily increases purchasing power. But in reality, debt often steals future income before it even arrives. Every monthly payment reduces financial flexibility. Every high-interest balance delays wealth building. And over time, many people become financially trapped by lifestyles they cannot truly afford. Living on credit also creates emotional stress that affects everyday life. Financial anxiety, sleepless nights, relationship problems, depression, and constant pressure become common among people buried in debt. Many are not just working for themselves anymore. They are working for banks, lenders, and interest payments. This is why wealthy people often focus on buying assets, while financially struggling, people focus on financing liabilities. Debt used wisely can build wealth, but consumer debt used for lifestyle spending quietly destroys it. Because at the end of the day, real wealth is not about how expensive your lifestyle looks. It's about how much financial control and freedom you actually have. 6. Never tracking money, the habit that makes financial problems grow in silence. One of the most dangerous habits quietly destroying wealth is simply not paying attention to where money goes. Many people work hard for their income every month, yet have little idea how much they actually spend, how much they waste, or why they constantly feel financially stressed. And the frightening part is that financial problems grow fastest when ignored. For many young adults, money tracking feels boring, stressful, or unnecessary. Some avoid checking bank balances because they already know things are tight. Others assume budgeting means living a miserable life with no enjoyment. So instead of managing money intentionally, they spend reactively, buying things emotionally, swiping cards automatically, and hoping everything somehow works out by the end of the month. Modern technology has made this easier than ever. With tap-to-pay systems, automatic subscriptions, food delivery apps, online shopping, and invisible digital payments, money now disappears quietly. People spend without physically feeling the loss the way previous generations did when using cash. Someone may spend small amounts throughout the day: coffee, streaming services, convenience purchases, ride-sharing apps, impulse shopping, without realizing hundreds or even thousands of dollars are disappearing every month. For middle-income Americans trying to survive rising living costs, this habit becomes especially dangerous because unnoticed spending creates constant financial pressure. Many people genuinely believe they are underpaid, but part of the issue is also unmanaged spending. When money is never tracked, small financial leaks become permanent habits. A person may complain about being unable to invest or save while unknowingly wasting significant amounts on convenience spending, subscriptions they rarely use, gambling apps, impulsive shopping, or avoidable fees. And this problem affects retirees too. Some older adults enter retirement without fully understanding their monthly expenses, debt obligations, or spending patterns. Without careful money tracking, retirement savings can disappear faster than expected, creating fear and financial insecurity later in life. Imagine spending decades working hard only to realize your money is running out because your financial habits were never truly organized. Psychologically, many people avoid tracking money because it forces them to confront uncomfortable truths. Looking closely at finances can reveal poor decisions, overspending, debt problems, or unhealthy habits. So instead of facing reality, many people choose avoidance. But avoidance never improves financial problems. It quietly worsens them. There's also a strong emotional connection between money tracking and self-control. People who consistently monitor their finances are usually more intentional with spending because awareness changes behavior. When you clearly see where your money is going, waste becomes harder to ignore. Financial discipline grows through awareness. The sad reality is that many hardworking people are not financially struggling because they never earn money. They are struggling because they have no control system for the money they already earn. In today's economy, where every dollar matters more than ever, ignoring your finances is like driving a car blindfolded and hoping you reach your destination safely. Because if you never tell your money where to go, it will quietly disappear on its own. 7. Buying things to impress other people. The trap of looking rich instead of becoming wealthy. People feel pushed to wear certain brands, drive certain cars, live in certain neighborhoods, or display a certain lifestyle online just to feel accepted, respected, or successful. The problem is that many people are sacrificing their financial future just to maintain an image for people who are not paying their bills. This pressure starts incredibly early because social media has turned comparison into a daily lifestyle. Young people constantly scroll through carefully edited videos of influencers showing luxury vacations, expensive apartments, designer clothes, flashy jewelry, and perfect lifestyles. Over time, this creates silent emotional pressure to keep up, even when financially it makes no sense. A young adult may buy the newest iPhone they cannot comfortably afford, finance expensive sneakers, or spend heavily on appearance simply because they fear looking behind compared to others online. Some people spend hundreds going to trendy restaurants or events not because they genuinely enjoy them, but because they want pictures and validation from social media. Slowly, life becomes less about financial progress and more about public performance. The emotional side of this habit is powerful because humans naturally want acceptance and status. Nobody wants to feel left out or unsuccessful. Companies and influencers understand this psychology very well, which is why advertisements constantly connect products with confidence, success, beauty, popularity, and power. People begin believing expensive lifestyles equal personal worth. For middle-income Americans, this habit often becomes even more expensive. Many families stretch themselves financially to maintain appearances among coworkers, neighbors, relatives, or friends. Bigger homes, luxury cars, extravagant weddings, designer clothing, expensive vacations, all funded through debt or financial stress just to look successful externally. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, many are anxious, overworked, and trapped in paycheck-to-paycheck living. And for older adults, the consequences can become heartbreaking. Some people reach retirement age with little savings because they spent decades trying to maintain lifestyles that impressed others instead of building real assets. Imagine spending 30 or 40 years chasing appearances only to realize you have very little financial freedom to show for it. That reality affects more people than many realize. Psychologically, comparison is one of the fastest ways to destroy financial peace. The moment people constantly compare themselves to others, contentment disappears. No matter what they own, it never feels like enough because someone else always appears richer, happier, or more successful online. The truth is that many wealthy people do not look wealthy at all. They prioritize ownership, investments, businesses, and long-term security instead of constant public display. Meanwhile, many people who appear rich are often deeply financially stressed. This is why one of the smartest financial habits is learning to separate self-worth from material possessions. Real wealth is not about impressing strangers online. It's about having freedom, stability, peace of mind, and control over your future. Because at the end of the day, looking rich and being wealthy are two completely different things. 8. Procrastination, the silent habit that steals years of financial progress. Many people postpone learning about money, starting businesses, investing, saving, developing skills, or creating extra income streams because they believe there will always be more time later. But financially, later is often very expensive. Procrastination is becoming even more dangerous because modern life is filled with distractions. Endless scrolling, binge-watching, gaming, short-form content, and constant entertainment make it easy to delay meaningful action. Many young people spend years consuming motivational content about success without actually taking practical financial steps themselves. They dream about financial freedom but postpone the discipline required to build it. A young person may say, "I'll start investing next year. I'll launch my side hustle someday. I'll learn financial literacy later. I'm still young. I have time." But those small delays quietly become years. And while time passes, inflation rises, opportunities disappear, and other people who started earlier move financially ahead. For middle-income Americans, procrastination often comes from exhaustion and fear. Many people are already overwhelmed with work, bills, family responsibilities, and financial stress. Because survival consumes so much mental energy, long-term wealth building gets pushed aside. Some know they need better financial habits, but avoid taking action because change feels uncomfortable. Others fear failure, fear losing money, or fear starting something new too late. The painful truth is that procrastination creates invisible financial damage. Unlike overspending or debt, you cannot immediately see what procrastination costs you. But over time, the losses become massive. Delaying investing for 10 years can cost hundreds of thousands in compound growth. Delaying skill development can limit earning potential for decades. Delaying business ideas can mean watching someone else build the life you once imagined for yourself. For older adults and retirees, procrastination often becomes deeply emotional because they begin to see how much time has passed. Many people regret not investing earlier, not starting businesses sooner, or not taking financial growth seriously during their younger years. Imagine reaching retirement and realizing that fear, hesitation, or delay quietly robbed you of financial security you could have built years ago. That regret can be painful because, unlike money, time cannot be earned back. Psychologically, procrastination often comes from the desire for comfort. Human beings naturally avoid uncertainty, difficulty, and risk. Starting something new feels uncomfortable, so the brain chooses short-term comfort instead. Unfortunately, short-term comfort often creates long-term financial struggle. This is why successful people understand that action matters more than perfection. Many wealthy individuals were not the smartest people in the room. They simply started earlier, stayed consistent, and avoided wasting years waiting for perfect conditions. In today's economy, procrastination is no longer harmless. Rising costs, economic uncertainty, and rapid changes mean people who delay financial growth may struggle even harder later in life. Because when it comes to building wealth, the greatest risk is often not failure, it's waiting too long to begin. 9. Ignoring self-improvement, the habit that quietly limits your income and your future. Many people want better financial lives, higher incomes, and more freedom, but they stop investing in the one thing that makes all of that possible, themselves. And in today's economy, where industries change rapidly and opportunities reward skills more than ever before, ignoring self-improvement can quietly keep people financially stuck for years. This is becoming increasingly important because the modern economy rewards adaptability, creativity, digital skills, communication, and continuous learning. The world is changing fast. Artificial intelligence, automation, online businesses, content creation, remote work, and digital entrepreneurship are creating entirely new opportunities. But many young people spend more time consuming entertainment than developing skills that could improve their future. Hours disappear daily through endless scrolling, gossip content, gaming addiction, or social media distractions. Meanwhile, other people are using the same internet to learn high-income skills, build businesses, create content, study investing, network professionally, or grow side hustles. Over time, the gap between those two lifestyles becomes enormous, and this is not just about education in the traditional sense. Self-improvement includes learning financial literacy, improving communication skills, building discipline, developing valuable skills, reading, networking, learning business, improving emotional intelligence, taking care of physical and mental health. All of these directly affect income potential and financial opportunities. For middle-income Americans, ignoring self-improvement often happens because life becomes repetitive and exhausting. Many people get trapped in routines where survival becomes the only focus, working, paying bills, resting, then repeating the cycle. Over time, growth stops, skills become outdated, confidence decreases, and financial opportunities shrink. Some people stay in low-paying situations for years not because they lack potential, but because they stopped growing personally and professionally. Psychologically, self-improvement requires discomfort, patience, and discipline, things many people naturally resist. Growth forces people to confront weaknesses, leave comfort zones, and take responsibility for their future. That's difficult. It's much easier to stay entertained than challenged, but the long-term consequences can be severe. For older adults, the effects of ignoring self-improvement can become painful financially and emotionally. Some people realize too late that they spent decades working hard without developing the skills, knowledge, or financial habits needed to create long-term stability. Others become fearful of change because they stopped learning years earlier. In a rapidly changing economy, refusing to grow can quietly reduce opportunities, confidence, and earning power over time. One of the greatest misconceptions about wealth is that money alone creates success. In reality, personal growth often comes first. The more valuable your skills, thinking, discipline, and knowledge become, the more opportunities you can attract financially. This is why wealthy people consistently invest in learning, mentorship, books, business knowledge, networking, and skill development. They understand something powerful. Your income can only grow consistently when you grow consistently. Because at the end of the day, financial growth is often a reflection of personal growth. And the moment someone stops improving themselves, they may also quietly stop improving their financial future. 10. Taking financial advice from people who are financially struggling. The habit that quietly keeps people stuck. Society often normalizes bad money habits so much that financially unhealthy behaviors begin to look completely normal. For Gen Z and Gen Alpha especially, financial advice now comes from everywhere: friends, family, social media influencers, trending videos, online comments, and popular culture. The problem is that not everyone giving advice understands money, investing, wealth building, or long-term financial discipline. Some people simply repeat opinions they inherited growing up without questioning whether those beliefs actually create financial success. A young person may want to start investing, launch a side hustle, create content online, or build a business, only to hear things like, "That's too risky. Just get a regular job." Nobody becomes rich from that. Enjoy your money while you're young. Investing is gambling. Rich people are just lucky. Over time, constant exposure to negative or financially limited thinking quietly shapes people's decisions. Many end up shrinking their goals, avoiding opportunities, and settling for financial survival simply because the people around them normalize struggle. This is one reason financial cycles repeat across generations. People often inherit not only financial conditions, but also financial mindsets. If someone grows up around constant debt, overspending, fear of investing, or paycheck-to-paycheck living, those habits can begin to feel normal and unavoidable. Without realizing it, people adopt the same behaviors that kept others financially stuck for years. For middle-income Americans, This can become emotionally difficult because financial advice is often deeply connected to family, friendships, and social circles. Sometimes the people closest to you unintentionally discourage financial growth because your ambition makes them uncomfortable. A person trying to improve financially may be criticized for budgeting, investing, learning new skills, or becoming more disciplined with money. In some environments, responsible financial behavior is mocked while reckless spending is celebrated. And for older adults, the consequences can become deeply painful. Some people spend decades following poor financial guidance, only to later realize they were never taught how wealth actually works. They worked hard their entire lives, yet still struggle financially because the advice they followed focused only on survival instead of ownership, investing, and financial growth. Psychologically, human beings naturally absorb the beliefs of their environment. The people around us heavily influence what we think is possible. If someone constantly hears fear, negativity, or limiting beliefs about money, they may unconsciously lower their financial expectations. This does not mean financially struggling people are unintelligent or unworthy of respect. Many hardworking people face difficult circumstances, but when it comes to building wealth, it's important to learn from people who have actually achieved financial stability, discipline, and long-term success. Wealthy people often think differently about money. They prioritize ownership over appearances, assets over liabilities, long-term thinking over short-term comfort, and financial education over emotional spending. That mindset difference changes everything. Because at the end of the day, the advice people follow often shapes the financial life they eventually live. And if someone wants different financial results, they may need to start listening to different financial voices. And there you have it. The silent habits that quietly destroy wealth over time. But the good news is this: the same way bad habits quietly destroy wealth, good habits can quietly build it too. Small disciplined decisions repeated consistently over time can completely transform your financial future. Tracking your money, investing early, improving your skills, controlling emotional spending, and building multiple income streams may not look exciting immediately, but over time, those habits create freedom, stability, and real wealth. So now, I want to hear from you. Which of these habits do you think destroys wealth the most in today's society? And which one do you personally think people struggle with the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because your experience could help someone else watching this video. If you enjoyed this discussion, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the Street Smart Secrets channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly breakdowns on wealth, money, psychology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.